lot of Jiu Jitsu, right? They call it rolling, is what we like to call like floor swimming, and learning how to start to use the spine to move you across the floor, whether it's through different types of rolls, slides, etc. But I'm starting to press through other parts of my body rather than just the heels and the feet. So something a lot of people struggle with, right, is strength in the spine, strength in the neck. So we're going to start working some rolls. So we're going to start practicing and strengthening these areas, and also just building kind of the vocabulary of how to move through these different trajectories, which then when you go to Jiu-Jitsu class, they'll teach you all the more specific escapes, pins, sweeps, etc. But how do you start to at least know how to move yourself without putting a person in there or putting more complexity in it? So we're going to do a few different rolls. First one we're going to start with is just going to be a basic shoulder roll. And we're going to play this kind of out of the turtle position. So this will also be depending on in the class how much people know Jiu Jitsu, talking about positions or at least catching them up on what they are. But from the turtle, you can think of forearms and shins on that. And from here, I'm just going to pop up one hand and one foot. I'm going to think from here, bringing the shoulder down to the mat. And I'm going to try and roll one shoulder across to the other shoulder. Once I get to this point, knees can come down. I'm going to swish the knee across the right. Knees, swish, up. Swish. At the beginning, I can have my hands, my elbows kind of tight to the body. And as I go up, the sides of the arms kind of work. I'm going to switch the feet to the right and then switch back to that left shoulder. So keep circling. Switch. Switching to the other shoulder, back to the left. Yeah. Knees down, switch shoulders. We'll keep still going the same way. So from here, pop up the opposite. And then I'm going to duck that shoulder into the gap. Yep. All the way through the other shoulder. Then both knees come down. And then I'm going to switch the knees to the right. Kind of. We'll come back to it. Nice. Okay. Another roll. This one is a circular roll along the spine. We're going to add a straight or a linear roll. So this is going to start kind of like core side of things. We'll do two here. The first one's going to be the crucifix roll. Where I'm going to think of being in the cross, lifting both legs over. And then from here I can pick a side, going over a shoulder, hands stay on the ground, roll all the way to the stomach, come to the other shoulder, back, back. Next set, I can go to the other side. strap. Come up. And then go into the other one, Tony. Good. So yeah, I mean, this is, it's kind of funny because I'm talking, we have a couple black belts and then white belts. So it's like trying to speak like better, not gringo Spanish, you know, and then gringo Spanish. But for people who don't do Jiu Jitsu, right, the benefit of like building up your sensitivity of your skin, right? How well can you kind of understand pressure, modulation, like what is kind of the detail of your ability to sense. Jiu-Jitsu, you're getting tons of contact with the other person, with the floor. It's kind of why they'll say you can do Jiu-Jitsu with your eyes closed. Is a lot of it is this kinesthetic sense. All of this rolling, even when you're not actually rolling with another person, is helping kind of build up your map. And just a better understanding, kind of like a taxi driver, you know all the routes. You know how to get around the city. If there's something blocked off, you can't go that way, you can find another way about. So for me, while you're doing this too, right, the blood, lymph, all that stuff's moving. Fascia is getting stretched and pulled apart, so it's just a nice way to get movement in. And mats are really nice too. So we do a lot of rolling at the climbing gym, which is like fake linoleum on concrete. So in a way, this is really nice and it's a little more forgiving. Anyways, one more roll we'll do. It's gonna be around the world, which is gonna be similar. The crucifix roll, I used to call it the half around the world. This would be the full around the world, where I'm gonna start down, Chase, where I'm gonna start down in the T. Now I'm going to find a way to that shoulder. All the way to the back. And back around while staying in the same place. And trying to keep hands and feet in the same place relatively. Circle. Yeah? Let's just try 3 each way. Try and roll across your right shoulder. And then I'm trying to get my head under the shoulder. Real quick, taking a little pause from rolls. Another thing we're going to talk about, back to the core. Easy way, and something that we do in the classes already, is a lot of crawling or different types of quadrupedal motion. That cat crawl, or just the basic quadrupedal crawl, is used everywhere, right? Parkour, jiu-jitsu, gymnastics, etc. We're gonna slightly modify it for jiu-jitsu today. So sometimes maybe in gymnastics, right, I'm gonna work on more scapular protraction, posterior pelvic tilt, working on keeping kind of these elements that we need for the gymnastics skills. But this cat crawl, what we're going to think about instead is elbows and knees. So, frames, as you learn in Jiu Jitsu a lot of the times, I want to be able to keep this connection between my elbows and knees and kind of prevent people from entering these spaces of my body. Maybe a simple way to think of it. A lot of the sport is just going to be in this more flexed position versus an extended position, right? Hands up get through like this. Ah! Right. Look, looks a little weird. It's not going to work very well. Inflection in general is going to be where things are happening. And we want to start getting a sense of how I can start to keep this body tight. And we call it the short body sometimes. So forearms and shins is kind of being your other hands and feet. These are my long body, these are my short. So turtle position, right? You could think of being in that short body. We're gonna pop up and we're just gonna do a little bit of cat crawling around the room. But each time I take a step, I wanna feel a connection between my knee and elbow. I can walk forward, I can walk back, but I just wanna see each time if I can get that sensation of connecting those points. That make sense? So let's just try about 30 seconds, forward walks, backward walks, to seeing if you can feel that connection each time. From the cat, I'm gonna sit through. I can think of turning the hips. I'm gonna take through, stepping through, and then bringing this hip all the way around, back and back. Shifting the other way, foot through, and that's it. All the way around, back to the back. Step. Okay, that'll be the first one. The second one will be step back. Rather than turning and stepping through, I'm going to turn, but now I'm going to take this foot, step behind, and then pull the foot back. Behind. Make sense?
Yeah, can you do the first one again?
We'll just do the step through to start. Turn, step, turn, step. Let's try. Good. Now try to step back, try to step back. Exactly, and then pull that right leg back through and do it back. That was us just doing a single and finishing back where we started. Now we're going to try continuous. So now I step through. I'm going to come around as if I was going to finish, but this foot doesn't touch. It goes right into the next step here. This hand, instead of coming down now, I can start to think of traveling. So if I wanted to, I could reach a little further forward, or almost like I'm going to finish, but I don't, I continue. This foot, same thing. You can kind of change where it's going to be in space, and that's going to change where I move to. Hand comes, don't put it down, right through. If I want, right, hands can slightly move forward each time. Now it's like I'm lacing, walking forward. I can do the same thing back. Extend further back, reach the hand further back. And then lace backward walk. And I can start to think, how could I change my orientation in space while still doing the backward flow? Make sense? Let's try. Continuous, just in size. Okay. It's fun, we need another hour. We did this on hands, now we're going to try it on the short body. So, bam, forearms. Same idea. I can step through, I can come back to my square version, I can step back to square, right? Or I could be continuous. So, now just getting used to supporting yourself on that short body while still doing the same pattern with the hips. This is going to be for the future, we'll talk through it, but coordination, always if you don't have the first kind of progression I showed, day one, you can just stick with that. So, if this felt challenging enough, just do these singles. If it starts to get boring, and now you're just doing chores, that's a good sign that you need to move on to the next progression. Keeping your mind, figuring out the coordination, and once you start to get it, challenge it again. Keep trying to push up, but don't also move a little bit faster than you can handle, and it just becomes garbage. So, okay, let's try. Either singles or starting to move towards improv.
think I said it's going to use the time reflection, but that's not true. There's lots of times that we're moving through extension conditions. This first one, set of arms going to be similar to the bridge, or the bridge, that's kind of contact for. And the same way I'm looking in the front. Now I'm going to try to bridge up onto my shoulder. Inside step. Continuous inside. Outside. All the way around, and I'm going to try and finish it down. Moving back, bridging, looking this way if I can. I'm going to try and bring the hip all the way around, finishing 90 degrees turtle. Yeah, let's try. Hair collection. So, I want us just to put this all together into like a little flow. Oh, here's what we did. And thinking if you can start to remember and start to see how these different pieces can connect together. So, we have our cat crawl, the elbow, different directions. Right, we had from the turtle, our shoulder roll. Can't rewind this in the way. Pushing the legs, changing directions if I want. Right, and we took that at any point into that linear roll. Switching, or all the way back. We had our around the world, crucifix roll. Turtle sit through. Right, we had all the short body movement. Sit throughs, sit outs, short body sit throughs, sit outs, extremely short body sit throughs. And then what I didn't say, but is nice with the shoulder, is being able to transition to the bridge.